you're looking to get started with the Shadow of the Erdtree expansion for Elden Ring, you might have just one thing left to do: defeat Mohg, Lord of Blood. But luckily for you, I've updated my 3-step guide for putting the Lord of Blood on easy mode. So if you're having any trouble at all, this video will get you past him and into the Shadowlands as soon as possible. Starting with step 1, getting prepared. So the Mohg fight in Elden Ring is really interesting for a few reasons. One is obviously his challenging fight mechanics that can leave some players frustrated and seemingly out of options, but number 2 is the amount of things the developers hid in the game to make this fight more manageable. And that's because there's several items linked to the Lord of Blood spread throughout the base game of Elden Ring that if you find them and use them, this fight becomes significantly easier. First up on that list is Mohg's Shackles. This is an infinite consumable that you can add to your quick slot, which temporarily shuts down Mohg, allowing you to get in some quick free shots. Now keep in mind this item is only usable during the first phase of Mohg's battle before he completes his blood curse, but you can also use this item up to 2 times during that first phase, meaning that if you time this right, you can quickly get Mohg's health down to 50% or even 25% right out of the gate. This also protects you and your Spirit Ash from taking too much damage, which is also essential for surviving this fight. Basically, using the shackles properly will put you in a much better position for the second phase, so it's a definite must-have. The Mohg Shackle is found under the Leyndell capital in the subterranean shunning grounds all the way at the bottom of the sewers, so it will take some time to get to. It's also guarded by these 2 giant lobsters, but if you position yourself in the far hallway, they're actually pretty easy to defeat. The next item you'll need to come prepared with is even more important. Now, we already mentioned Mohg's Blood Curse, which he casts after he counts down during the first minute or so of combat. After he counts down, you'll see everything turn red, and then you'll start to take tons and tons of damage. That is unless you come prepared with the right Physic Tear Flask. Now what you'll need to negate the Blood Curse is called the Purifying Crystal Tear. This will make you pretty much immune to his curse's stagger effect, and you'll also take much less damage, letting you use this particular part of the boss fight to chunk down his health even more. You can combine any other tier with the Purifying Crystal that you want, though the Speckled Hard tier is recommended because it significantly boosts your resistances, making this fight even easier. The Purifying Crystal tier is dropped by Eleonora, Violet Bloody Finger at the Second Church of Marika in the Altus Plateau zone, while the Speckled Hard tier is dropped by the Wormface Field Boss, also in the Altus Plateau. The final item I recommend you pick up is optional, but still highly recommended as it will help you deal significantly more damage to Mohg nearly all the time during this fight. This is a talisman called the Lord of Blood's Exaltation, and it boosts your overall attack power by 20% whenever blood loss occurs in the nearby area. You'll see this effect pretty much all the time when fighting Mohg due to his blood magic, but even more if you're running a bleed build of your own. For example, I'm taking advantage of the Reduvia Dagger in this gameplay, which is also helping me proc that bonus 20% damage. This talisman can be obtained under the Leyndell capital in the Leyndell Catacombs by defeating a minor boss named Eskar, Priest of Blood. This area can be pretty confusing, so make sure to check each path carefully to unlock this final boss room. But now that you've prepared with the right items, it's time to double check your build and especially your main weapon and Spirit Ash. Obviously, you will need as much damage as possible to make this fight go faster, and the less time you spend actually fighting against the Lord of Blood, the better, because you need to avoid all that blood loss buildup at all costs. So make sure whatever weapon you're using is upgraded to the max. Now, what worked well for me was the Reduvia Dagger because Mohg is actually fairly weak to hemorrhage, and you can use it with the previously mentioned Lord of Blood's Exaltation for that 20% damage bonus. Some type of medium-range weapon art such as this is going to actually be ideal because this will keep you just out of Mohg's blood fire range while still allowing you to do damage. But what really makes a difference I've found in this fight and turns it into easy mode is your choice of spirit summons. Having a fully upgraded spirit that can actually stand toe-to-toe with Mohg for the majority of the fight will make a huge difference. Now when I say fully upgraded, that is the key here, and it's what made the biggest difference for me in winning. Having a spirit summon like Redmane Olga, for example, who was very tanky already, only made it about halfway through the fight at +7, but upgrading him all the way to +10 helped him survive the entire fight and draw Mohg's attention away so that I could chip in my own damage whenever I could while also avoiding too much blood loss. Now let's walk through the fight next from start to finish and talk strategy. Once you clear the fog wall, summon your Spirit Ash and then pop your mixed physic right away. And since the Redmane Spirit has a ranged attack, he's able to quickly pick up aggro and get Mohg's attention. This is ideal, which means you can circle around back, get in close, and then use your first shackle to lock him down. Here you'll want to do as much damage as quickly as possible. And once Mohg is back up, you should back off just a bit to make sure your spirit maintains that aggro. Now if Mohg does turn on you, you'll need to roll through his spear attacks. The first is typically easy to spot, though the second attack has a delay, which you'll need to get used to. Also watch out for this claw swipe attack because a big fire AoE follows immediately afterward, and this one hurts. But as I said, ideally your spirit either maintains or refreshes its aggro, which will then let you close in again and use your shackle a second time. Do as much damage as possible here as well, and ideally get him to about 50% health or lower if possible. You also need to be quick about this because the shackle only works during his first phase, not afterwards, so make sure to use that shackle both times to keep you and your spirit healthy enough to enter round 2. Soon after the second shackle, you should hit the Blood Curse phase, and if you set up your mixed physic properly, you can just keep attacking at this point. This is important because Mohg will heal during this phase as well, so you'll need to counteract this with even more damage. If you didn't use the mixed physic, well, good luck here because you'll need to chug at least 3 to 4 flasks to survive while also being stunned at the same time, so it's pretty likely you'll die here or right afterwards if you didn't prepare properly. But after the curse, Mohg will enter his final phase, gain some wings, as well as more Bloodfire magic-based attacks that spread blood loss very quickly across the arena. Now, this is where you'll need to be the most careful, but ideally, your Spirit Ash still has maintained aggro and has enough life left to keep Mohg busy for the rest of the fight. Meanwhile, you can sidestep or jump over the Bloodfire and place yourself in that medium range to get in some nice juicy hits. The key here is to back out before you take too much blood loss buildup, but also stay aggressive enough to continue to damage him while he chases after your spirit. So this is the strategy that worked the best for me. Now my stats and my weapon are not even close to being maxed out on this build yet, but my preparation and especially my maxed out Redmane Spirit really did the trick here and gave me an easy win, and I'm sure these same strategies can work for you as well. But let me know in the comments section any tips I missed for beating the Lord of Blood. If you have any questions, let me know those down below as well. And as always, thanks for watching. I hope you're doing well, stay safe out there, and I will see you around in the next video.